we do this, let's go over the ground rules. Rule number 1. No touching of the hair or face. Of course. And that's it!
Off the Wall Radio with Big Al and HQ. A show about nothing. We got a lot of shit to say.
And welcome back once again, everybody, to Off the Wall Radio. I am HQ.
And I am
Big Al.
the one and only Big Al.
There is no other.
What's the date
So
today?
tonight, it's the 17th of December. We are almost at Christmas.
We're almost there.
Yeah. Are you ready for it?
Define ready. I mean, does
Are you
that
prepared? I mean, do you have all your gifts bought? You have all your, God forbid, you don't have
Absolutely
all your
not.
decorations up. But you're all set?
No.
Oh,
I
you're
still,
not.
I still haven't got my wife a gift yet.
Yeah, that's I haven't purchased mine yet either. But
I'm actually afraid that she went and like secretly bought me something nice, and I'm gonna feel like guilty as shit because I thought her and I had like the same understanding. Like, hey, let's not spend money on each other.
you know, I try that every year, and my wife always she just doesn't go for that. So Anyway, we got a lot to talk about tonight. Today, on our Off the Wall Radio Facebook page, we had some suggestions for topics tonight.
A couple of suggestions, yeah.
Yeah, let's start with Scott's suggestion, and let's get this one out of the way because it's a sore subject with the entire country right now, and that is, of course, the ridiculous killing of those 20 poor little kids, and then, of course, the adults as well out there in Connecticut. And
Yeah.
you know, we've talked a lot about this since it happened, you and I, and of course everybody else in the country. And go ahead, what do you got on this?
Well, I'm trying to stay disconnected from it the most I can because it's horrible, as a father myself with a small child, it just scares the living shit out of me. But it's, what can you do? I mean, what can you do? I mean, it's like with all the tragedies going, there's nothing you can fix it because I'm really getting frustrated with people putting, we need more gun control. Okay, make guns illegal. People are still going to get them. Look at drugs.
Well,
drugs are illegal, and people still get drugs.
I saw something interesting this morning because that's what everybody's barking up the same tree is gun control, gun control, gun control, and
gun control is not going to stop this.
That's fine with me. Gun control, take them away. I don't care. I don't own them. Well, I may want to own one at the rate things are going in this country, but for my own protection. But what I saw this morning was interesting, and it was about, you remember Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma City bomber, blew up that federal building?
Absolutely.
With a truck full of fertilizer. Okay?
Exactly, fertilizer.
The point that was made is that you can still buy fertilizer, you can still buy racing fuel, you can still rent a cube truck. He didn't use a gun.
Yeah.
He killed a shitload of people. And if it's the desire of people to do this, they will do it.
Well, and that's exactly where I was going with all that when I was talking to my wife about it. It's like, a fucking crazy person is going to do crazy shit. I don't care I don't care what you ban and what you make illegal. Man, a crazy person's going to do some crazy shit.
Well, knowing we were going to discuss this tonight, I pulled a statistic from the internet. And, we always have to be aware that this information we get from the internet is not always 100% accurate.
Far from it, yeah.
This I kind of have a little bit of faith in because it's a website called Cognitive Policy Works. And, I'd always heard that there are a lot of nutbags walking among us each and every day. And what this says is it claims that, it starts out with a question. Did you know that roughly 1 person in 100 is clinically a psychopath? This means
that's a really high number.
1%. More than that means 7 billion people on the planet. That means 70 million people walking on this planet are clinical psychopaths. That's a lot of fucking people.
That's troubling to hear. That's actually very troubling to hear.
It is. And at any given moment, they're one life's event away, perhaps, from doing something like this moron did a couple days ago.
Yeah, it's and that's why I keep saying it. I keep trying to distance myself from the situation because there's nothing I can do to change what happened. And you know, anytime you watch anything, you know, I just want to cry anytime I look at, you know, this small child or anything. It's just man, 1 in 100, really?
1 in every, well, shit. We work with
at least 7 of them, so.
I can almost guarantee you there's at least 1 or 2 just in our place.
Yeah, that's true.
You start looking around, start thinking, make your list. There's a few that you want to look out for.
You know, completely.
We had one that just lost his job recently, whose desk I took, that I'm quite certain he had some issues.
I'm trying to think of. Oh yeah, I remember that
you
character.
You ran into him at the bar the other night.
Yeah. He was wearing a suit, and it looked like a suit he bought from like TJ Maxx. It didn't fit him properly, and it wasn't.
Sure. Wrinkled shirt underneath it.
You know, but I got something a little pretty important to talk about with you.
What's that?
The intro to our fucking show.
Yeah, what about it?
I re-recorded that, and you keep playing the old one.
Yeah, I know, I do. And I just actually listened to the new one you sent tonight, but I didn't have it pieced together with all the other stuff, and I grabbed and drugged the wrong one in. So I do have it. I just, okay, move on past that. Now you're starting to sound a little psychopathic yourself.
You're going to tack it up to lazy. You're going to tack it up to laziness. Okay, that's fine. Well, no,
whatever.
You started off.
Ass.
You started off with topics posted on Facebook. Beth also posted something on.
Hold on a minute, though. Before we do that, I'm not done with this. And
with
then
what?
We're going to move on. The shooting.
Okay, go back there.
Because I want to see how off base I am here with this. We have. How many people do we have in our military that are overseas?
Right now?
Yeah.
I think about 300,000.
300,000. How many school systems do we have in this country?
I don't have that number off the top of my head.
I don't either, and I'd have to Google it, and we could find it pretty quick. But, you know, I'm so tired of our tax dollars paying to fight these pieces of shit over there that could care less, and the minute you leave, they're going to go back to their way of living and killing each other. You know what? Let them do it. This is supposed to be the safest country in the world because our military protects our borders. Well, what about inside of our borders? What about you bring those military people back here, post a couple of them up in every school in the country? I think that might deter some of these issues. Throw a few of them at the mall, you know, churches, whatever. Use our military to protect us instead of other people. But
yeah, that's a dangerous
I don't know
line.
I don't know if that's logistically possible. But God, I don't know. They've got to do something though. Very sad. Definitely
what can be
tragedy.
done? What can be done?
I don't know.
Though?
I don't know.
You know, it's like, you know, the whole thing when they're like getting on all these laws about texting and driving and texting and walking and all this stuff. You know, you can't make a law against it's illegal to be a fucking idiot.
No,
and,
that's true.
You know, because you can make any law you want. I'm sorry, if you're texting and you walk into a street and get hit by a car, you're an idiot.
That's right. And you know, the shameful thing is, and yeah, this might sound very unpopular, but I believe it to be true. And I don't have compassion for these, don't get me wrong. I don't have compassion for the son of a bitch that did this or that does this.
No, absolutely not.
But I do know that these people were either A, born with this problem mentally, or something happened more than likely in their upbringing or at some point in their life that caused the wires inside of their mind to kind of cross and short out, and they're disenfranchised with everything that goes on around them. and it's not normal thinking. It's a sickness. It's just nuts.
I mean,
and I feel bad that people have to have this kind of issue, this mental health issue. I don't think anybody can justify what he did.
I'll go on a limb and blame reality television for a lot of this shit, because since the dawn of reality television, you're making celebrities out of anything. I mean, look at the reality shows they have out there. I mean, you can name it, and there's a reality show about it. Yes. I'm sitting here because I don't have a remote to change the channel here, but it's something on A&E here about like addicts. Well, you're celebritizing these drug addicts.
Right.
Something about, I don't even know what it's about, but it's like, because you can't do anything wrong, because if it's seen by people, you're famous, and that's all that matters in our society, is being famous.
Yes. And that's what they were talking about with these individuals, and they talked several times the last few days about these violent video games. And people don't want to hear that playing these violent video games makes you do this, which I don't believe that it does, but what it does do is it preps you for, wow, I feel masculine right now. I'm able to shoot and kill these people in this game, and that kind of becomes their reality. And these are people that have very little social skills to begin with. They don't make friends easily. They're losers. And suddenly they start to develop this machoism that, wow, hey, I can do this in real life and maybe get some notoriety. And it's just nuts. A lot of people saw this stuff coming, see this kind of thing coming too, like that guy in Colorado, that movie theater. His psychiatrist said that, if I'm not mistaken, that he kind of had some indications that something might happen, but he couldn't say anything because it's the client-patient privilege, whatever. Bullshit. Fuck that.
That was a crazy-looking bastard, too.
Oh, fuck. That guy was an absolute freak. And, so, anyway, I don't know. Here's the thing. We know it's going to continue to happen. It's just surprising this time it happened so close together, that Aurora, Colorado shooting at the theater, and then this thing.
I heard that this was the second deadliest shooting
behind
ever?
Columbine. Was it? No, not behind. Well, how many were in Columbine? Was that number one?
I just heard that it was ranked second, which, first of all, is disgusting that there's a rank. But
yeah, I know it.
I mean, obviously they're going on a head count here, but how many? I don't remember at Columbine how many that was.
I don't either. I don't either. But
Columbine was like the late '90s, right?
That sounds about right. Sounds about right. All right. Well, you know what? Let's wrap that subject up because it's sad as hell. And tell you what, let's do this. Let's do this.
You want to take a break?
Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we will discuss Beth's requests.
All right, back from the break here, and on a lighter note, we're going to go on to some of Beth's suggestions for the evening. She had a couple suggestions, but the one that I found a little interesting was the whole idea of embarrassing things that have happened in our lives. Which you said that you really didn't have very many, or at least you can't, as in thinking back, they don't come to mind.
Well, I've had some embarrassing moments. I don't typically get real embarrassed about anything. So maybe I'm one of these psychopaths we're talking about, but I've certainly had some things. I got something I can talk about. I know you said you had a couple things. Why don't you get this?
Well, I had
get
one.
This thing kicked off.
I had one. I'm gonna. Well.
What? Are you stuck? Are you stuck here?
No,
What's going on?
There was a third one that I'm trying to do the recall on the third one. I have my notes written down, man. I left them at my fucking desk. Well, the one for sure was a customer of mine who was actually a friend before I ever sold him anything. But so he was a friend, and I knew him and his wife very well. He came in one day talking about purchasing a vehicle, and I hate to admit it, I kind of went into the mode that I go into, which is I really don't pay attention to what the hell you're saying. I'm just, yeah,
Yeah, it's a great mode to go into when you're a salesperson. Go ahead.
You know, so exactly, and he goes over, and then I catch him saying, well, I'm interested in this. We wrap that up, and we have an appointment for the next day, the very next day. So he comes in, and the first thing I ask him is, so, by the way, how's Kim, his wife?
Yeah, okay, I know where this is going.
I probably have told you this before. He looked directly at me.
No, you never told me this, but go ahead.
He looked at me, directly at me, like with the most confused look on his face, and said, Al, I told you yesterday, we're getting divorced.
Oh, God.
I'm like, yes, you did. I apologize.
But you were right there in that mode.
I never heard him say that. Here he is, a
Which,
friend.
by the way, I can't stand that. I hate that. I hate that.
Here he is,
dude.
A friend of mine telling me he's getting divorced, and I'm blocking it out and not even listening.
That's a hell of a friend right there. Way to go.
Well, I tell you what.
Freaking idiot.
Well, so there you go. There's an embarrassing moment in my life.
Oh, my God. That's nowhere near as embarrassing as what happened to me over the summer.
Oh, you got one. I love it.
Oh, yeah. We were up at the camper, and I've told you all about that place. And, you know, substantial amount of drinking goes on. And
I'm envious of that place. I'd like to come up there as a...
Well, like I told you, you have to come up there next summer. Have to. It's a ball. We'll have a riot. But I went to bed and woke up, I don't know, maybe 4:30 in the morning, and I trusted a fart. And I was laying on my back in bed and flipped the TV on. I thought, oh, you know what, I'll lay here, watch a little tube for a minute until I fall back asleep. Well, it must have been something I ate because I had horrendous gas. And I trusted this particular fart, and it was the wrong one to trust because as soon as I let it out, it was just a little bubble, one of those little pops.
Yeah.
And I went, oh my God, that felt a little funny. And, okay, no big deal. So I went to roll over to go back to sleep and was immediately woken up fully by the feel of a little moisture, a little dampness.
You had a little shit in your pants, huh?
What am I going to do now? So,
now wait a minute. You're in
look
bed,
over at my wife. My wife's still asleep.
and she's sleeping
Sound
right
asleep.
next to you.
Right next to me.
Yeah. So you shit the
scoot
bed
out.
with your wife there.
I shit the bed right next to my wife, and I slid out of bed. And when I slid, I took the poo with me, and I
This is wrong.
I left one hell of a streak, and so now I'm confused, and I don't know what exactly I'm supposed to do next. I mean, I just shit in my bed, a foot from where my wife's laying. What do I do? So I covered it up with the covers and the sheets, and I went into the bathroom, and of course I had to disrobe immediately. So I got on the toilet, took care of business, wiped everything up, and I thought, oh shit, now you know what? I got to shower. So I hop in the shower. It's like 4:30 in the morning. I get out of the shower, and apparently that woke my wife up, and she says, "What are you doing? It's like 4:30 in the morning. You're showering?"
Yeah, don't worry about yourself. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna hit a bucket of balls. I'm all right.
Yeah, I'm waiting for sun up, man. I'm gonna go out and throw a freaking fishing pole in the water or do something. I don't know. I don't even fish, but I'll go out and do anything other than admit I just shit my pants in the bed. Well, I thought about trying to pawn it off as you just had a dream, honey. But I thought that's not going to cut it because when she gets up and smells it, it's going to be a dead giveaway. So I took a nice shower and I hid that from her the majority of the day and that afternoon. I just started laughing.
What was the evidence that she found?
She didn't.
Oh,
she didn't because as soon as she got up, I went in and made the bed because it was Sunday morning. I knew we were going home that afternoon. I thought, you know what, I'll strip the bed of all the bedding and we'll take them home and wash them. Along with my pants. And so she gets up, I make the bed real quick. She comes out, I get her some coffee. We're having a nice day. About 3 o'clock that afternoon, I just start laughing. She said, what is so funny? I said, I can't hold this back from you anymore. I got to tell you the truth. What? I said, well, I wasn't really showering at 4:30 this morning because I just was wide awake and felt like it. I shit the bed. You did what? I said, yeah, I shit the bed. You did not.
I can't.
Come with me. She walked right in there. I pulled the sheets down. There it was. All the evidence in the world. Oh, my God. It was unbelievable. It was the first time I had looked at it since the crime was committed.
Whoa.
And,
were there were stains on the mattress?
No, on the sheets, dude.
Oh.
There was just shit everywhere. Oh, God. It looked like I had a fecal apocalypse. It was just... boom. So, yeah, that was really freaking embarrassing. I'm 49 years old at the time. No, actually, you know what? I take that back. I had just turned 50. So, actually, I guess I'm entitled. That was pretty embarrassing. But, once again, I went on with my life, and I just shrugged it off as I shit my pants in bed, big deal. But I would say it's an embarrassing item.
Well, it's slightly embarrassing, but that reminds me, anytime you shit yourself, it's embarrassing.
Oh, yeah, I did it at work once a few years ago, but I'm not even going to get into that situation.
Well, I shit myself right in front of your face the one night, but
that's right.
I tried to fart on your head and I shit myself.
Oh, God.
But no.
So you said that reminded you of something. What did it remind you of?
Of a time I shit myself that was slightly embarrassing. I say slightly embarrassing because it was more embarrassing for the people I was with. Dustin, my old partner at work.
I'm glad you threw the at work part in there. Dustin, my old partner. Okay, go ahead.
Knock that shit off right now. Anyway, we got off work and let's go to the bar. Let's do some drinking. And he decides we had to go to a certain Applebee's because it was close to his house. Because we had to be there because his wife was a nurse who was on call, and in case she got called in, he had to run back to the house.
I have a mole on my back that looks suspicious. I had my wife take a picture of it yesterday. I'm calling a skin doctor tomorrow to have it looked at. I'm slightly concerned. Go ahead, sorry. I just looked at the picture on my phone. Go ahead. Sorry.
Just text that picture to me. So anyway,
okay, I'll do that right now.
We go to that Applebee's and we're throwing down. And quite embarrassing, I pass out because I drink so much.
Well, imagine that.
Yeah. And he's quick on his feet, and he's like, shit, his blood sugar's low, because they're all freaking out. It's like, is he drunk? And he goes, no, he's a diabetic. His blood sugar's low. Don't worry, I'll take care of him. He hustles me out there. He goes, all right, I'll drive you home. On the way to my house, I'm like, oh, dude, I gotta shit myself. I actually declare I have to shit myself. And he goes, dude, I'll get you home real quickly. I'm like, nope, I gotta shit. And I shit myself right in his car.
In his car?
Dude, where's that on your back?
It's like left rib cage, midway up on my back. Isn't it? It's a little suspicious, isn't it?
It looks like a moth laid eggs inside you or something.
I know, it's weird. It's really strange. Anyway, any other embarrassing moments you've had?
Well, there was one time with this is a long time ago, where I was it was right after I graduated high school. It was you know, I was 18 years old. I was dating this girl, and things were pretty good. But you know, obviously, I'm 18 years old. I'm not gonna just settle down with one girl. And I went to this other girl's house, and I was playing volleyball, hanging out with them, and I made arrangements with her that, hey, let's meet up later. I'm like, just give me a call after you take your shower and everything, and we'll do something. And now this is pre-cell phone. This is pre-caller ID and all that stuff. So I'm back at my house because my parents are out of town, so I got the house all to myself. And the phone rings. I answer it, and hey, how you doing? I'm like, hey, you all done with your shower? She's like, well, I just got out of the bath. I'm like, oh, took a bath, did you? I'm like, so what do you want to do tonight? She goes, well, I thought maybe you were just gonna come over. I'm like, oh, I can make that happen. Yeah, do that. You want me to bring anything special over? She's like, why would you bring anything special over? And right when she said that, I realized I was talking to the wrong girl.
Oh, God, so did you go? Did you get her address and go over there?
No.
Sounds like you guys were having a nice connection.
No, I thought I was talking to the new girl, but I was I wasn't. I was talking to the girl I'd been dating.
Oh, God. Oh.
Yeah, so I'm working on a new hookup, and instead I'm talking to the girl I've been dating. So she's like all confused, like, why are you asking me all these questions? She's like,
at what point did you realize it was the old girlfriend?
The second she asked me, she's like, why would you need to bring something special over? Because we kind of like had a routine, you know, where because it's during the summer, I'd just come over, we'd watch some TV and wait for her parents to go to sleep, and then we'd fucking do it, you know?
Yeah, that's beautiful. I've got one here. It's a long story from a lot of years ago, so I'm going to try to do my best to give you the condensed version because we're getting close on time here. But, fuck time. We can talk as long as we want, right?
I was about to say, there's no time limit on this shit.
No, there's not. But so here's what happened. 18 years old, senior year in high school, me and my buddy Tom are heading to Saginaw to play in a golf tournament. Okay. On the way to the golf tournament, we're driving north on Interstate 75, and we're trying to pass a car that won't allow us to pass. Every time we get over to pass this guy, he gets in front of us. We go to the other lane, he gets back in front of us there. So I was known in high school to drop my pants in a heartbeat, moon people left and right. In fact, I mooned for the yearbook photographer so they could put that in the yearbook, which of course was snuffed out. They didn't allow that. But
obviously, yeah, it's clear.
Yeah, so Tom's driving, I'm in the passenger seat. He says, all right, listen, HQ, you got to do your business with this guy. So as we finally got to pass him,
was it a nun? Was it a nun?
No, oh no, worse than a nun. I dropped trowel, I mooned the guy. Off we go. We're laughing our asses off. Head to Saginaw, play our golf tournament. We're heading back. We're getting on the expressway right there at the main Saginaw exit, coming southbound on 75. When we pass a cop going the other direction, right before the off-ramp, he makes a U-turn, comes up the off-ramp, and pulls us over.
Oh, no.
Tom says, no problem, don't worry about it. This guy, you know, he had Florida plates on his car. He still hadn't had them changed. He said, I get pulled over every now and then because people see the Florida plates on my car. Well, he had a white Mach 1. I don't know if you were around when those were somewhat popular, but...
You talking about the Ford?
The Ford Mach 1.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, so kind of a car that tends to stand out. You don't see a lot of them on the road, or at least you didn't around here.
Especially with Florida plates.
Right. So... pulls us over. He says, you know, we'll be out of here in 5 minutes. No big deal. It's just, this happens from time to time. So, cop comes up, asks Tom to get out of the car. Tom goes to the back of the car, and he's being, I'm watching this. He's being questioned for several minutes. Cop comes up to, now there's two cars. Cop comes up to the other side of the car, and he asked me to get out of the car. Okay. So he starts asking me questions.
How old are you at this time again? 18?
I'm 18.
All right.
And so I get out of the car, and he says, "Put your hands on the roof." And I'm like, "What?" It's almost like my cousin Vinny. You know, you've seen My Cousin Vinny.
Yeah, absolutely.
They get fingered for the wrong crime.
Yeah.
I mean, all this shit's going through my head. Like, what is going on here?
I killed the clerk. I killed the clerk.
I killed the clerk?
I killed the
right.
clerk?
Yeah, exactly. I'm in the middle of a damn confession here. So I get cuffed, put in the back of this cruiser, and I'm freaking out. I don't know what the hell's going on. Takes me, sits back there, has me sit in the back of the cruiser while he continues to talk to Tom with the other deputy.
Which is the worst feeling in the world, sit in the back of a cruiser. I've been there a few times. It's not good.
Handcuffed, you can't move.
It's awful. It's awful.
So the guy comes back about, it seems like an eternity. It was probably only 5 or 10 minutes. So he gets back in the car, the cop does, and he turns around and he says, "You remember me?" And I said, "Sir, I've never seen you before in my life." "Really? Look a little closer." I said, "Well, I am.
Wait a minute.
I don't even live up here."
Wait a minute. With the inflection you're using there, are you implying that he was a brother?
Yeah, exactly what he was.
Okay.
Which you're about to find out. So I said, "Sir, officer, I apologize. I don't recognize you. I'm from the Flint area. We came up to play in the golf tournament. We're on our way back from the golf tournament. I apologize. I've never seen you in my life."
How'd you play in the tournament, by the way?
Pretty well.
Okay.
And so he says, "Well, I sure recognize you, but don't seem to recognize your face as much as I did. Maybe I should take a look at your ass." Well, right then it clicked. Somebody called it in, and then I went, "Wait a minute." He said, "My ass." He says, "You want to think again about whether you recognize me or not?" I said, "No." Yeah. And at this point, I'm like, "Oh my God."
This is the guy you mooned?
I was driving to work this morning, and he emphasized this, with my white girlfriend. So now he thinks it's a racial thing. He thinks I mooned him because I was racist because he was with his white girlfriend. He made that very clear by his words. Needless to say, I wound up getting an appearance ticket, and this is where it got embarrassing. I had to go back, it was like 3 or 4 weeks later, to court in Saginaw and stand in front of a judge while this little Phenamastat was sitting there on her stenography machine taking all this dictation, all these notes. And this judge asked me, said I was there for indecent exposure. Do I plead guilty or innocent? I pled innocent. I said innocent because I didn't mean any harm by it. It was it's a popular thing that kids do these days. Yeah. He says, what is? I said, mooning. He looked at me and says, mooning? Mooning. What is mooning? And he looks down at the stenographer. He looks at her. He goes, Gladys, what mooning? What is mooning? Have you ever heard of mooning? I've never heard of mooning. I've been on the bench here for 40 years. I've never heard of mooning. What's mooning?
Oh, shut up.
And she's true story.
Did you have to moon the judge?
She's snickering. No, I wish I would have. No, so she's snickering because she knows full well what's going on here. This guy's making a fucking ass out of me. So he looks at me and goes, yeah, sir, do me a favor. Since I don't know, and apparently nobody else in this courtroom knows what mooning is, explain to us all what mooning is. Well, Your Honor, I mooned him. I exposed my rear end to him. I still don't understand, and I think the rest of the court here is confused still that you exposed your rear end. I'm going to need you to, in full detail, tell me what exactly this mooning thing is and what you did. I said, okay. I said, as we approached the car and decided to pass the car finally, after he finally let us go around, I pulled my pants down. I exposed my rear end. I pushed it out the window so that he could see it. That was my explanation. And he looked at me and he says, "Well, very good. That's very, very interesting. I can't believe I'm hearing this, but at least you're honest and truthful, and you should be ashamed of yourself, embarrassed. I'm sure your parents are very proud.
Very proud.
What we're going to do here is we're going to have you go home now, and I'm just going to tell you that if I ever see you back in this court for this mooning again, that, I'm not going to be so kind next time. Clank, case adjourned." So what they did was they fucked with me.
So you had to go to court and everything, and you didn't get charged with anything. Nothing.
I didn't get jack squat, other than fully embarrassed. And that time, I have to tell you, I was slightly embarrassed at that particular moment in my life. And it was funny because I was 18 years old. I'm going to go, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 years ago, so 25, 26 years later. I finally told my mom and dad, I said, "Hey, so enough time's passed. I got to tell you about something I think you're going to find pretty funny."
But you confessed this situation to them?
I did. I said, "You remember when Tom and I went and played in that golf tournament in Saginaw?" "Well, no, how would we know that? You guys went and played in golf tournaments all the time." "Well, anyway, we did, and I mooned a cop, but he was off duty. I didn't know he was on duty. I mooned a cop, and I had to go to court for it about a month later, and I didn't bring you into it because I knew you'd be pissed."
But you know what? That reminds me of the time I got thrown in the back of a cop car for smoking a cigarette. I think I told you about...
By the Rite Aid?
Yeah, I think I told you about that the other day. It's like, I was over at a buddy. My dad and I were over at this friend's house of ours, and we had both drove our own vehicles. This is back when I was living with my dad after I moved back from Seattle. And his truck was blocking my car in, so he goes, "Well, just drive my truck." So I grabbed the keys, and I'm like, man, I gotta smoke a cigarette. I can't smoke in my dad's truck, because he'll smell the smoke, he'll get pissed, he'll kill me,
right.
So I pull over in a parking lot, and it's right in front of a Rite Aid. I'm like, I'll smoke a cigarette right here. So I'm standing out front smoking. I had just lit in the cigarette. I'm like, got 3 puffs in. Next thing I know, this cop comes pulling in, has the lights blasting in my face. He gets out of his car, gun drawn, in my face. Is like, freeze. And I'm like, well, I'm smoking a cigarette. Throw the cigarette on the ground. I'm like, holy shit, what the... Lots changed since I moved out of town. And you
can't even smoke a cigarette in a parking lot without getting in trouble, for God's sakes.
What the fuck? I'm 19 years old. I think I'm entitled to a cigarette.
That's right.
And he goes, "What are you doing here?" And I say exactly what I'm doing. I'm here smoking a cigarette. He goes, "Were you just inside the building there?" I'm like, "No, I'm out here smoking a cigarette." And he goes, "All right, I need you to come over here." I'm like, "Am I under arrest?" And he goes, "You might be." I'm like, "Well, fuck." He goes, "Would you sit in the back of my car?" All right. So here I go, back in the car.
Can I smoke back there?
Seriously, again, in the back of a cop's car. Been there a few times, not liking it. And that's where he informs me, once I'm in the back of the car, that there has been a break-in reported, and he's here checking on it. And I just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
At the wrong time. That happens.
Running the plates on my dad's truck and all this stuff, and all just for smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. In Big Rapids, Michigan, when I went to Fair State University up there. My roommate and I were heading back from the Alibi, which was a very well-known watering hole up there, and it was.
I like it.
I don't know, it was a weeknight or a Sunday night. It was a fairly uneventful evening. Not a lot of people, not a lot of cars in the parking lot. We just got a decent amount of fresh snow. And we got...
Where you at, Big Rapids?
I don't know. Big Rapids, yeah, Fair State.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we're about 200 yards away. And in the middle of a bank parking lot, in the middle of a damn blizzard. And suddenly I got to pee. And I'm not making it back to the dorm because it's still about 600-700 yards away. So right in the middle of this bank parking lot, of course, being fairly inebriated, I pull it out and start urinating. Just
of course.
At that time, I'm about midstream and my roommate yells, "Put it away!" And I'm like, "What?" And all of a sudden, there it goes. There are the lights. There's the sirens. Here's the cop car. Well, by this time, of course,
because of your public urination,
it was back inside. Guy jumps out. "What are you doing?" I said, "Nothing. We're just walking back to our dorm." "You weren't peeing in the parking lot?" I said, "Absolutely not." "Then what's that yellow shit in the snow right there?" Oh, God, I'm beat. I'm done. Took me, I had to spend the night at the campus police station. Got out the next morning. I didn't go into a cell or anything, but oh, my God. It was embarrassing because I kept thinking I was going to have to call my mom. "Mom, I got caught peeing in the parking lot." Fuck. Yeah, I've done some stupid things.
You know, there's times, though, that with the police, I'm surprised they haven't arrested me. There was a time I was living out in Washington where my car broke down. Mm-hmm. And I was completely shit-faced, drunk, stoned. I mean, there's no reason I should be on the road. Car breaks down. Me and my buddy, we got the hood open. We're looking under there like there's any fucking thing we can do. Right. And a cop pulls up behind us. "Hey, you got some car problems?" I'm like, "Yeah, it broke down." And now I'm living out in Washington. I got Michigan plates on the car.
"Broke down, I'm out of whiskey."
And cop's just like, "Oh, yeah, that's tough. Well, there's a towing company right down here. I can give you the number. And the next exit..." And so my buddy, he's smart enough to realize, all right, hey, the cop's letting us go. Let's just walk on down. And me, like an idiot, he's sitting there back in his car. I walk all the way back to his car. I stick my head in his fucking window, and I'm like, "Hey, where'd you say we have to go again? I'm not for sure." And he's like, "Could you get?" He's like, "Can you get your head out of my car?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry." Yeah. He's like, "The very next exit, it's about a half mile. I'm sure you can walk that far." And I'm like, "Can you give us a ride?" He goes, "I'm not giving you a ride anywhere." All right. Really? But I mean, in situations like that, I'm like, and then I'm like, oh yeah, and then the night before I left Washington, man, I partied all night long. I mean, I did acid, I did shrooms. It was just a stupid night. I hadn't slept in like 48 hours. I had like 6 passed out people in my house. I have to get home, and I'm gonna drive you guys home. They're passed out in the backseat of my car. I got 3 guys like laying on top of each other in the backseat of my car. I'm driving them home. I'm going down the road going about 50 miles an hour. It's a speed limit of 35. I get pulled over by a cop.
With dead bodies in the back seat.
These guys just not even right back there. And he's like, do you know why I pulled you over? And I'm like, no, I really don't. And he goes, well, multiple reasons. Number one, the tag on your car is from Michigan and it's expired. Number two, nice. You were speeding. And let me see your insurance. I hand him the insurance, which was expired.
Of course.
And he goes, and he looks in the back seat. He sees the 3 bodies laying back there. He goes, what brings you to Washington? And I'm like, I'm out here visiting my sister. He goes, well, when are you leaving? I'm like, tomorrow. I'm just dropping these guys off at their house, and I'm out of here. And I kid you not, he looked right at me and he goes, I never want to see you here again.
Are you serious?
I kid you not. I mean, he should have taken me to jail. I mean, I was loaded up. He just goes,
what year was this?
This was like 1997. No, he did write me. He did write me a ticket. That's right. He wrote me a ticket, and it was for speeding. And I looked at him. I'm like, I don't have the money for this. He goes, well, you don't have to pay it technically. And I'm like, well, what do you mean technically? He goes, well, if you don't pay it and you're ever pulled over here in this county, in this state again, you're going directly to jail. And I'm like, well, I'm leaving, so I don't have to pay it. So I didn't, until I got a collection notice 2 years later saying I had to pay some.
So you do have to pay it.
Exactly. It was like $95. I paid it eventually.
Well, you know, back in the 80s, was a great time to be a partier because you could be just filthy drunk and get pulled over, and they just tell you to get home. I don't want to see you out on the streets again tonight, so take your ass home and get some sleep, sober up, and that's it. Back in the 80s, it was great, man. It was kind of like back in the 60s in Woodstock with all the free love and everything.
You know, that's what I've heard. Yeah,
it was. We'll go. We don't have time tonight because I could tell you oodles of stories about being pulled over back in the 80s and being if it would have happened in this day and age, I would have been put in prison for years. But in the 80s, they were cool. And there wasn't as many drunk driving fatalities back then either, but things have changed a lot.
Ironic.
So have I. So anyways, you know what? I'm just thinking here, what we should do is we're going to probably have to get into this. Beth had another thing that I kind of liked and wanted to visit. I think maybe we'll do next time. Flight versus invisibility. What are you going to do or wish you could do before the end of the world Friday? Well, if the world ends Friday, that will be before our next episode, so we won't talk about it. If the world doesn't end Friday, according to the Mayans, then we'll talk about it next time.
It's not going to end, so it doesn't matter.
That's right. We'll talk about it next time right here on Off the Wall Radio.
We'll see you later, bitches.
Yabber.